Hello, and welcome to Wayward Witchery. I'm Pandora Darkmoon, tarot reader, witchcraft mentor, and lifelong witch. This is a space for anyone on their soul's journey. Whether you're a curious beginner, have been dancing with the moon for years, or simply feel the magic without needing to name it. Today we're diving into what real witchcraft looks like, and spoiler alert, it's probably not what you think. For many people, the word witch conjures up a mix of black cats, crystal balls, sparkly spells, aesthetic altars, and drama-fueled social media posts, promising to manifest your dream life in 3 days. I'm here to talk about how some of what's being sold as witchcraft simply isn't. Some of my clients come with these big cinematic expectations. They've seen things online, spell jars, curses, glittery affirmations, and they think that's what witchcraft is. But witchcraft, at least the way I've practiced it, and the way many witches I know do, is far deeper, quieter, and less theatrical than that. And really, witches have always been misunderstood. Sometimes feared, sometimes mocked, and more recently, turned into a kind of lifestyle aesthetic. Pop culture gave us green skin, flying monkeys, cauldrons bubbling over with neon goo. More recently, the internet gave us softly lit selfies and a promise that if you set your intention just right, the universe will deliver like a cosmic Amazon Prime. But none of that came out of nowhere. The figure of the witch has deep, tangled roots, some of them beautiful, some of them painful. And if we want to talk honestly about what witchcraft is, we need to talk a little about what it is not, and why that matters. Let's start by untangling some of those assumptions. First of all, witchcraft, for me, is not about controlling others. It's not about power games, revenge spells, or trying to bend people or the universe to your will. It's not a shortcut to fame, wealth, love, or a perfect life. And it's definitely not a vibe-heavy aesthetic that relies on crystals, candles, and dramatic eyeliner to feel real. There's nothing wrong with spell jars or pretty altars. Truly, if they bring you joy and help you connect, that's wonderful. But when those things become the only focus, or when people are copying and pasting somebody else's ritual because it looks good in a photo, that's not witchcraft. That's content. And I think it's important to pause here and remember where these distorted ideas came from. During the European witch hunts, tens of thousands of people, mostly women, were accused of witchcraft. But in truth, most of them weren't witches at all. They were midwives, herbalists, healers, poor women, or simply the targets of fear, jealousy, or convenient accusations. In Salem, the infamous witch trials were driven more by paranoia and personal power struggles than anything remotely magical. Even Joan of Arc was accused of witchcraft and eventually sainted. That's how deeply the idea of the witch has been tangled in society's fears. And while we may not be burning people at the stake anymore, those old misunderstandings have shape-shifted into new forms. These days, instead of being hunted, the witch is often marketed, packaged up into something consumable, aesthetic, and easy to sell. But real witchcraft, for me, has never been about any of that. It's about honesty, alignment, and learning to work with the natural rhythms of life, not trying to force them to obey you. And while different witches do have different beliefs and practices, and that's valid, most of the sincere ones I've known have one thing in common. They're not in it for the power, image, or likes. They're in it for truth. That's the kind of witchcraft I know, and that's what I want to talk about today. So let's take a look at what witchcraft is, at least for me. Now, for me personally, it's hard to put a timestamp on when I started this path. because in a way, I think I've always been on it. I grew up talking to trees, animals, and relatives who had passed away long before I was born, not fully realizing that not everyone else did it. It never felt strange, it felt true. But I didn't have a name for any of it, not until I was around 14 or 15. I was at an outdoor market, poking around the bookstall, as one does. And as I turned to walk away, the man behind the stall literally chased me down, handed me a book and said, "You need to read this." It was a book on witchcraft. And as I read it, it was like seeing my entire worldview printed on the page. Not something new, just something I finally had a word for. That was the moment I realized I wasn't the only one who saw the world this way. And I wasn't broken or strange. I was just a witch who hadn't known the word yet. And that's why, for me, witchcraft has never been about appearance or performance. It's not something I adopted because it was popular. It's something I've always carried. So let's talk a little about what real witchcraft actually is, at least from where I stand. For me, witchcraft has never been an aesthetic or theatrics. It's not about chasing power or impressing anyone. It is about alignment. Witchcraft is a way of understanding yourself, nature, and the unseen currents that run through all things. It's a practice, one rooted in awareness, personal responsibility, and the willingness to grow. Sometimes it involves ritual, sometimes it doesn't. But when it does, the purpose isn't to summon miracles or bend reality to your will. It is to shift something within. A ritual might help you process grief. It might help you feel grounded, focused, and empowered. It is a tool, not a shortcut, not a cosmic vending machine. And magic? For me, it's like the seasoning on a good meal. You still have to cook. You still have to peel the potatoes, wash the dishes, and clean up the emotional mess. Most of what I consider witchcraft isn't especially Instagram-worthy. It's the quiet stuff. Sitting with a feeling instead of avoiding it. Knowing when to speak and when to listen. Tending to your home, your body, and your energy. It's the mundane work, the kind nobody posts about, that builds the foundation of any magic to rest on. Because without that solid foundation, it's just performance. It might look witchy, but it won't be witchcraft. The real witches I've known don't all use the word witch. Some do, some don't. But they walk the path all the same. They're not flashy. They don't care much for labels or trends. But what they do care about, almost to the point of obsession, is integrity. These are people who won't say one thing and do another. They can't. Congruence matters. Cognitive dissonance makes them physically uncomfortable. They are the kind of people who will turn their whole lives upside down to align with what they believe is right. And that shows up in how they live. Not one of them follows this path because it's pretty or fun. They live it because they have to. Because it's the only way they can be in the world and still look themselves in the eye. Many of them don't cast spells often. In fact, magic is a small part of the picture, a tool they reach for now and then, when the timing is right and the work calls for it. That said, for those who do work regularly with magic, the real kind, not the Instagram-flavored kind, congruence is everything. Because if you expect the universe to respond to your words and intentions, then your thoughts, your words, and your actions need to align, to match up to begin with. If you are trying to manifest one thing but living in contradiction with it, the energy won't flow. Not truly. Magic magnifies what's already there. So if what's there is confusion or contradiction, that's exactly what you'll get. That's why witches obsessed with integrity aren't being picky or rigid. They understand that accountability and alignment are the foundation of any real power. The real focus? Personal transformation, self-awareness, shadow work, unlearning, grieving, and growing. They're not interested in escaping reality. They want to understand it, and themselves. And more than anything, they care deeply about the earth, not just in theory, but in practice. They have all made tangible, sometimes difficult changes in their lives to reduce harm, protect animals, and honor the natural world. Because for them, witchcraft isn't about lighting a candle and making a wish. It's about asking, am I living in harmony with what I claim to believe? And when the answer is no, they do something about it. That, to me, is witchcraft, even when no herbs are burning and no circle has been cast. So, if you've made it this far and you're still watching, maybe something here resonated with you. Maybe you are curious about witchcraft, but not sure where to begin. Or maybe you've already started exploring, but feel a little lost in all the noise. And that's okay. This path doesn't come with a manual. My best advice? Start small. Start honest. Read, listen, reflect. And take your time. You don't need a coven. You don't need permission. You don't need an aesthetic altar with rare herbs flown in from far-off places. If you are working solitary, quietly, curiously, with an open heart, that's valid. That is witchcraft. And if you are looking for guidance, whether it's for a moment or a season, I do offer one-to-one sessions and mentorship through Wayward Witchery. But whether you work with me or not, please choose your teachers wisely. Look for integrity, not performance. Look for people who respect your autonomy and won't try to sell you magic as a shortcut to success. Most of all, trust yourself. This path is meant to empower you, not turn you into someone else's follower. Walk gently, stay curious, and never forget, the most powerful tool you will ever have is your own alignment. Thanks for joining me at Wayward Witchery today. I hope something in this episode stirred your soul. If you are feeling called to go deeper, I offer tarot, clairvoyant, spiritual growth, and witchcraft mentorship sessions via Zoom, email, or pre-recorded video. You will find all the details on waywardwitchery.com. If this spoke to you, feel free to share with someone who might need a little magic today, and come and connect over on Blue Sky. Until next time, keep your heart wild, your ethics strong, and your cauldron bubbling.